Hello and happy Friday. Today is Read a Book Day, so I'm going to share lots of different activities based around reading that you could do with your early years child. You don't necessarily have to do all of these activities today. It's just to give you a little idea of how you could support your child's reading development at home. And let's be honest, reading is really important. We all know that. And getting your child excited and engaged with reading from an early age with some of these different activities are a great way to give your child a starting point in their education. So if you've got any questions throughout, please feel free to drop in the chat section, or if you want to share any activities that you do at home or any pictures related to the activities that we've spoken about today, that would be lovely. So my first idea today is to have a book of the day. That could be a new book that your child hasn't looked at before, or it could be a book that they are familiar with. The idea is that you can read that story, maybe watch a video of it if there is one, and then do some different activities to follow up that story. The idea of that is to support your child's reading development, but also other aspects of areas of learning as well. So I've chosen to focus on The Gingerbread Man. So like I said, you can read the story and then you can have a watch at a video. And then you could make like a little small world setup like this one. So I just used things that I already had around the house. So for the grass, I've used some rice. I coloured it by putting it into a Ziploc bag, squirting in some green paint, squishing it around, then leaving it to air dry. For the river, I've just got a little bit of card, which you can't really see, and some shaving foam. And then for the paths, I've just added in some cereal and some oats. Didn't have a house, so I just cut one out of cardboard that was going into the recycling. But this is a great activity to support even young children as they engage with different materials and resources. But it's also good for older children as well, because you've got that little gingerbread man, which I printed out from the Twinkl website. They can have a go at retelling the story. The Gingerbread Man is a really excellent one to retell the story because it's got the repeated refrains of "you can't catch me." They could even have a go at changing the story to how they would like to change it. So instead of the run, run, they might say hop, hop. Or you could add in different animals to help the Gingerbread Man to get across the river. You could also challenge your child to make like a little bridge across the river. You could provide some sticks or some lollipop sticks or some straws and see if your child can make a little bridge across the river. That will support their creativity, their imagination, but also their problem-solving skills. So another idea based around the Gingerbread Man is to have a little outline. You could print one out or you could just simply draw one on a piece of paper or card. Here I've got some pom-poms and I'm just making a repeating pattern using a peg. Repeating patterns are developmental milestones in maths for children from age 3 up to age 5, where they will do an ABC pattern, so pink, yellow, white, pink, yellow, white. Using the peg is a great way to support your child's fine motor skills as well, as they have got to grasp. But you could also just get your child to use their fingers, or they could use child-safe tweezers as well. You could then get your child to colour that gingerbread man in, or you could cut it out and use it as the puppet for your small world activity tray. So another idea for Read a Book Day is to visit your local library. Libraries are brilliant because they've usually got a child dedicated section. Often there's loads of different books, there's blankets, there's rugs, there's little there's seats for children to sit on, and it's a really great way to get your child excited about reading. To make it a little bit more of a challenge, you could see if your child could read a book for every single colour of the rainbow, or you could have a look at the resource that's being added into the comment section now with some different activities to make it a little bit different. In that book, in that booklet, in that resource is a little sheet like this one, which is a treasure hunt to find some different pictures in different books. This just gives your child a little bit of an objective, something to find whilst they're in there. And once they find each one, they could tick them off or they could colour them in. Another idea for Read a Book Day is to create a lovely den at home. So you could provide some blankets, some cushions, an old bed sheet, and see if your child can make a little den. I used to love doing that when I was little. I used to do it under the table and have blankets like over the sides, but they always used to fall down. So one of us always had to go out and attach it back up. But that's a great way to support your child thinking and problem solving skills again. And when they're in their little den, you could give them some different books, maybe some cuddly toys, maybe have a little snack, and just make it a really cozy experience that children want to engage in. If you want your child to be in there independently, they could look at the pictures by themselves, or you could have a look at some different ebooks that are that usually and quite often your child can have read to them. So it's just a great way to make it really exciting. Why not also encourage your child to rate the different books that you read? They could give it a rating out of 5, or they could do thumbs up, thumbs down, to the side, or did they love it? This will support your child to think about the comprehension side of reading, as you could ask questions such as, what was your favourite part? Is there any parts that you didn't like? Or just in general, whether they liked it. You could also have a look at this My First Reading Journal from the Twinkl Parents Hub. This is probably better for your older child, but it can be supportive for younger children with adult support as well. So it says here, no child is too young. So there's lots of different sheets on here. In fact, there's 20. So the first one is like my book wish list. So is there any books they'd like to read? It goes on to show different places that they like to read, their favourite people who they like to read with. And there's a little tracker here. So every time your child reads a book, they could colour that in the little blocks, and once they get to the end, maybe they could have a little prize, maybe they could have a new book, for example. We've also got a little tracker here as well, which has got the emoji rating. So that's a great way for children to discuss whether they loved it, whether they liked it, whether it made them sad, or was it boring. Talking about these different emojis would also support your child's emotional development as they look at different feelings and how the different feelings make you feel inside as well. So if your child gets really bored when it's bath time, why not have a look at this book for in the bath? This is another resource that is made from the Twinkl Parents Hub. The idea is that you can print it out, you can laminate it, and then you can poke holes through the little holes, maybe put a pipe cleaner through, and you could read a book in the bath just to make it a little bit more exciting. We've got a range of different books that are available, including this one here, The Little Red Hen. It's just a great way to make it a bit more exciting. And if you've got toys that you use in the bath as well, why not model making a story using those toys? If your child's a little bit younger, you could get them to make their own line in the story. And if they're a little bit older, so if they're in the reception, you could see if they can come up with their own stories in the bath as well. I'm now going to talk about some different milestones that children progress through within their reading development. This is just going to be like a whistle-stop tour, but you can find the different ICAN sheets on the Twinkl Parents Hub if you want to look at them in more detail. So I'm going to start with 1 to 2. So when your child is 1 to 2, it's different things like listening to stories and looking at the pictures and being able to name familiar items. So you might say, oh, where is the duck? And they might point to it, and you might say, oh, what can you see in the pictures? To really get them engaged and excited about what is being read to them. These sheets are really nice because you can print them out or save them as a PDF, and you could colour them in once you know your child has reached each milestone. So when your child is between 2 and 3, it gets a little bit more complicated. It's about listening to books for longer periods of time and asking questions, so saying like, why are they doing that? Or, I wonder how they're feeling. But you might ask them questions that are a bit more wordy as well, with things such as who, what, when, where, and why, to really to get them to think about the book that's being read to them and to support their comprehension as well. So that there's different things like develop play around favourite stories using props. So that kind of goes back to that small world setup that I shared earlier. It's a great way to encourage your child to engage with their favourite stories, but also to come up with their own stories as well. When your child is between 3 and 4, it's looking at the 5 key principles of reading, which is understanding that print has meaning, understanding that when you read, we read left to right in England. You can support your child with this through encouraging them to put their finger underneath the text as you read. This doesn't have to be underneath the text because they won't know what the words are yet, but just doing it from left to right is a great way for them to start to understand that that's the way that we read. Also, paying close attention to the different parts of the book, so the front cover, the back page, where is the author's name, where is the title of the book, different things like that, and also understanding the concept of pages and sequencing as well. When your child gets into reception, so these are 4 and 5-year-olds, so this is the end of early years, they will start to learn phase 2 phonics. So they'll actually start to learn to read simple words and sentences eventually through phase 2 phonics. I did a live all about phase 2 phonics a couple of weeks ago, which the link to the Facebook and the YouTube to that is being added into the comment section. So you can watch that back if you want some more information about that. But it's things like being able to read simple sentences in books eventually. And that it's still about using their own imagination to create their own stories and descriptive stories verbally as well. So when we were looking at creating their own stories in the bath, that's just a great way to kind of encourage your child to use different resources to make up a story. And also in the Gingerbread Man Busy Tray, it's a great way to encourage them to create their own stories. So lots of different things, and also anticipating what will happen next. So still question your child. That comprehension of reading is still as important in reception as it is when the child is younger, because there's no point learning to read if they're not understanding what they are reading. So that is it for me today. But as always, if you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat section. And if you want to share any of the activities that you get up to or any of your own ideas, that'll be lovely. I'll keep an eye out in the comments once this live is up as well. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I'll be back on Monday for a live chat all about emotional development. Hope to see you then.